nerdettes and we little nerdlings all. Two buddy Big John and G from Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming! As you can see, we had set up Mutants and Masterminds 2nd edition. We're continuing our Paragons campaign. That is very interesting to say the least. So we got 3 of the 20-sided warriors. There we go, in view. What's up, everyone?
Hello.
So we got Ryan.
Hello.
Anthony. And Alex.
Hey.
All right, so I don't think we need much of a recap because anyone can just go and watch the previous ones.
Yeah, go to the other videos.
So we'll just say that this game started an hour after the last one. We had just woken up from a dream adventure.
Yep, right.
There was a guy that tried to attack us. Your vice president,
Richard Hole. Yes.
Richard Hole. Before we went unconscious, he was still unconscious when we woke up.
Right.
And we starting this game. It's about an hour later. We're in your private plane that he was trying to steal.
My beautiful Cessna. Yes.
And you guys have taken off, and you have decided to take him with you, and you have him bound, hogtied from behind, and not gagged, but he's tied up.
Right.
And you, Anthony, you're flying. You're the only one that has piloting skills.
I'm the only one that has piloting skills, so.
And we had a full group here today, everyone. Just to let you know, we did have a full group. So that's all we're going to fill you guys in on. You can watch the past videos to learn more. This game seems to be getting stranger and stranger, I think.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Yeah.
So you guys are in the air. You're flying. You're trying to go to Georgia.
Yep.
You have 2 NPCs you're bringing with you, Courtney and her little baby, Michael.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
What's going on?
Well, we start out, as you mentioned, Richard Hole is tied up, and we didn't bother putting him in a seat, didn't bother putting him in cargo or anything. He's just rolling around the aisle, laughing at him. Just kind of like, he's trying to yell for help. Shut up, you. So, I mean, a couple of us start to think, okay, let's ask him a couple questions, see what happens.
Right.
So, he hits his head and gets hurt while he's rolling around because, free-flying plane, FAA regulations are exactly the thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
1980s wasn't as
1980s,
strict.
it's like, whatever.
Very lax.
So he comes rolling my way. I stop him, so I start asking him some questions. And I notice that he's starting to get a little hot. Not hot like angry, like actually physically warm.
But he's also getting very upset.
He's getting very upset, very agitated. He keeps saying, let me go, let me go, let me go. And just over, like, it turns into, like, actually, hey, get me out of these bounds, let me go on the rope. To, he seems like he's in actual pain, and he's starting to glow, and he's just getting hotter and hotter, and it's getting bad. Gauges in the cockpit are going off.
Yeah.
We're all feeling physically warm. Like, we can see, Rob mentioned, he's what is it, Copcat? Copcat. Has his enhanced senses, so he says, he was saying that he can see like heat lines coming off of him.
And you started feeling powered up.
I started feeling, because I had my foot on him, and so my absorption power was starting to kind of compensate for the heat.
That you're barely beginning to understand, much less control.
I'm saying, like, okay, as things as things hurt me, I kind of don't feel it. I'm sort of taking it in, redistributing it. But yeah, he starts to getting really, really weird, and then.
And there's Rob. This Copcat.
So it's a sauna in there. So
Copcat.
Derek thinks it's a good idea. Let's stop this before it gets any worse than it is. So Derek, goes to kick him in the head to knock him out because that's what you do. So he kicks him in the head, and his head explodes in a spray of golden liquid, and then his whole body melts and takes the whole bottom of the plane out, sucking all of us out except for Anthony's character, who's the pilot and strapped in like pilots do.
Yeah.
Unlike the rest of us who were passengers in the 80s, like so we all get sucked out of the plane.
Yeah.
And we're free falling. And Derek panics. He's like, he sees in his mind, just envisions all of us just going splat. And then everything goes dark, and we all stop midair. Meanwhile,
I'm still in what's left of this fuselage.
You're a missile at this point.
There's hardly any controls with the plane. Obviously, just being shredded by liquid. And I see my fate coming towards me, which are nice pine trees, mountains, and rocks and everything. Stuff that's very soft to land on. Very thin metal. As you almost, even as my training as a pilot in the Air Force, you're really never prepared.
His character's training in the Air Force.
No, and also my real life. You're preparing yourself for the inevitable fate that this is going to be. There's no parachute bombing. This is it. So you almost resign yourself.
Actually, you never asked me if there were parachutes.
I didn't think I would have time to even get up and grab one at that point, though. That's true.
I'm just pointing that out.
I didn't ask. That's true.
We didn't have a chance to. We were already in midair. I was like, oh, first room.
Yeah,
But
we're sucked out of a hole.
Yeah, I can't really help that.
Unbeknownst to me, I come to a smooth landing at the very bottom foot of this mountain, almost in a pinball-like type of metal surrounded, sphere.
Wait, the cockpit had reformed itself in this...
Almost like protective cocoon of a ball. The next thing I know, I'm hearing people trying to break in to, say, are you alright in there? Are you alright? Do you need help? Blah, 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 blah. They finally were able to free me, and I'm looking up in the air thinking for sure all 4 of you, or 5 of you, would actually be dead.
Right.
And you're just landing very softly, almost like a balloon.
Mary Poppins coming down with
right,
an umbrella.
Right, very Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Mary Poppins, y'all, and landing on the ground. And then that's when I see these, and some hunters wanted to take us into a town called Unity.
Yeah.
No, but what was happening with that floating down thing?
So Derek was panicking, as you might if you're in free fall, and
As Derek normally
then
does.
stop, and then start going again, and then start again, and then or stop again, and then you all get pulled in towards Steven's character. And
You felt as if like these tentacles wrapped around you and pulled you towards him.
right, and so Derek's thinking, well, Steven's clearly doing all this, and Steven's saying, no,
you're doing
no, it's you. So Derek's like, sure, whatever you say, goes along with it, and they land and safely, and Derek's very happy to be on the ground.
But Ryan, you remember what you saw in the shadow, in the dream world.
I remember the dream world. I remember the shadow realm, whatever you want to call it, and seeing Steven's character have these tendrils coming out of his back. So it was some kind. It was definitely like, oh, well, it looks like everyone's active a little bit here. Someone's doing some floating stuff. Steven's probably pulling us all over those tendrils. So there's little by little, we're slowly kind of putting the pieces together of like who can do what and who's able to do what.
Yeah.
Steven has his tendrils. You have your gravity control, or and then I have my absorption.
We've known Rob's powers for
Rob's
day
very
one.
apparent.
Cupcat.
He's Cupcat.
We still don't really know
still
what my
know
powers
what's going
are.
on,
We're just
yeah.
like, oh yeah.
But it's like, oh,
make it-
something's
yeah.
weird with him throwing stuff and kind of floating, whatever. But yeah, we eventually all very gracefully land as the hunters pull you out of the pinball, and we're very, very kind to help. And very, very willing to help.
Very
us.
ready to help.
Almost too willing to help.
Secretly.
Dun dun dun!
Yeah, didn't blink an eye about us floating gently down,
Yeah,
or
no. Seeing
prying
Copcat.
him out of a pinball, or Copcat being a giant man-tat. But they offer to take us to town, take us to the hospital, get us looked at.
Because Rob's character, Copcat, there, he was still shot.
He's been shot twice.
Yeah, the very first issue, he got shot by a fellow cop.
Yeah.
That freaked out on him. And what led up to the whole dream adventure, last adventure, the end of the adventure before that,
Richard shot him.
was when Richard shot him.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Out of panic.
Out of panic.
He was like, "What the heck is that thing?"
Right, I'm going to shoot that. That looks like more of the thing
More
I should be
threat,
focusing on, Then they took us to Unity
Town
Hospital.
called Unity.
Town called, yes. Town
Little
called.
tiny Mayberry of a town.
Very sleepy, very generous. The one thing I think all struck us was that they accommodated Rob right away. That they are used to seeing a large cat, and they just put him inside of a wheelchair.
Regular wheelchair. It was like, oh,
Derek's
we'll take
still
care
in
of it.
shock, holding his stub of a cigarette because he doesn't even smoke, but
Oh, the cigarettes. That was just the other thing. 'Cause the cigarettes
Oh,
played a
you
very
remember.
key role from the Shadow World adventure, because that's what we were sort of using to gauge that we were stuck in a loop.
Right, where the deforesting was
Yeah, it was
happening.
kind of like we kept getting reset every
Right.
time. It was like the cigarettes were the constant because they kept.
They kept
They were the one like static thing through all those iterations.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we kept coming back. So there was something about those that were
it was tied us to it.
something tied us back. So we still had those. Steven had a pack and I had a pack.
Right, and I didn't even check because I wasn't honestly thinking about it.
Yeah, but no, the two of us still had a pack. So that's still something to remember. And something like I don't. I'm still trying to figure.
Almost like Inception, where DiCaprio's thing was
Top,
the
yeah,
top.
top.
So
That's
the cigarettes
his
almost
base.
kind of
So the
symbolize
cigarettes
that.
are either the base or there's something. I didn't have them before the Shadow Adventure, and now I still have them. So
Right.
we're still, is this,
Right.
like, what is going on?
And they didn't fall out of your apparel as you
No.
were sucked out of a
No.
plane.
Yeah, I
4,000
checked after
feet.
you landed.
Yeah.
Because, I pulled him out of the hospital as you do in the 80s in a hospital before.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Smoking-
80s.
Smoking was allowed in hospitals at this time. There's no such thing as sanitary.
Yeah.
So they bring you to the hospital and they're taking care of Rob.
Yeah. So Derek is just kind of like in shock, just following Rob getting pushed in this wheelchair. Meanwhile, a nice nurse comes up and
Right.
puts her hand on Anthony's shoulder and your character's shoulder.
She was very reassuring to me that, don't worry about it. We know he's a man-cat, but, we gotta get these bullets out of him. He's in
I
pain.
believe the term she uses, we're going to fix him.
We're gonna fix
And
him.
we all went,
Right.
wait a second.
Yeah, what do you mean fix him?
You mean, like,
Are you
what
gonna
we're talking
snip
about
something?
here?
Are you gonna do something here we don't approve of?
Yeah, but no, it was at least as far as we were aware, it was they were going to try to help him.
And for whatever the reason, it seemed logical to me. Like, her assurance to me calmed me, and I said, all right, they're here to help.
And shortly after that, it calmed you too.
It was a little bit later. They offered us coffee and donuts, and I was like, no, I think I'm going to stay in. I don't know if I want any part of that. You went off to go see
I was following
Copcat.
Copcat.
Same with Steven. Steven
Yeah,
had
yeah.
done before that.
He followed a moment later.
A moment later, right?
Steven's character Simon tried to ask some questions, wasn't getting anywhere. Then saw that we were going, so he started following us. I follow Copcat around the corner, a little ways behind, and then get pulled into a supply closet. Somebody puts their mouth over hand over Derek's mouth and tells him to be quiet, and then warns him that he's got to get out of this town.
Right.
That this town is dangerous.
You gotta get out of here. He kept saying to you or something.
Yep, got to get out of here. Steven, meanwhile, walked right on by.
Right.
It doesn't see me. I'm gone now. And he sneaks to follow Copcat into the
Right. The operating room.
Right.
Yeah,
and there's
yeah,
all these
holding
patients in
Yeah.
beds, and there's the nurse and the doctor.
And every single patient has a nurse next to them, patting their shoulder, whispering into their every single one.
Yeah. Right.
Very,
Creepy scene.
very
Yeah.
creepy.
Yeah, it's very
And hospitals are-
Twilight Zone-ish.
yeah.
Very odd.
Yeah. So they operate on. They pull a bullet out of Steven. Meanwhile,
Out of Copcat.
Copcat.
Yeah.
Rob.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm in Derek's still in the supply closet talking to this guy who's apparently a doctor, I think?
He's a janitor.
Janitor, okay.
Who wouldn't? Oh, okay.
Who was just telling him to get out, basically, and then his pager goes off, his beeper, and
It's the 80s.
he fumbles with it, drops it, grabs it, runs out of there, sprints out, and gets tackled by a couple orderlies. This whole interaction with him
Yeah.
wakes Derek out of his stupor. So Derek is like, oh crap. Starts panicking, is like, well, he saw the doctor grab a syringe
Right.
before he ran out, or the janitor grab a syringe before he goes out. So Derek's like, all right,
Okay.
let's take some syringes, take whatever's these in these bottles, and start filling them up, and get ready for everything to go down.
Now, it was at that moment where once that janitor ran out, was tackled by the hulking orderlies that, were they private security? Were they orderlies? Who knows? But,
They were orderlies the size of gorillas.
we hear that, and myself, you were just following me because you were still like, yeah, everything's
Yeah.
fine.
You had your arm around him.
We're
Yeah,
mostly
we're
like
hanging
this, like
out,
buddy,
it was
buddy.
like,
Man,
okay,
okay, man, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
But it was me, myself, it was Anthony's character, it was John's character, and, no, Steve was not there at the time. He
No.
left. So it was the three of us go walking around the corner to
Right.
see what that tackling was. We see the janitor being dragged off
Yeah.
to a separate room. As we go to investigate, we hear rummaging in the supply closet. Turned out to be Alex's character, randomly filling up syringes.
Because that's safe to do.
That's safe to do. Using the limited Latin language background that I have, I tried to figure out what they
that's
were,
right.
but
Yeah.
couldn't really make out too much, not being a doctor or any kind of medical training at all. So it was like, well, when you can't beat him, join him. So I start filling up syringes just to see what just as sort of a defensive measure.
Right.
And a couple. Oh, that's what it was. So after that, we're all kind of standing in the closet.
I'm just basically.
You're there watching.
I'm like
We're filling up
basically,
our
if you've
syringes.
seen The Big Lebowski at this point, I'm pretty much just the dude. At this point, I'm just like, hey man, relax. There's nothing funny going on here. They're really trying to help us. I don't know what you guys are so panicky about.
And that's when one of the doctors walks over.
Right.
And comes over and starts talking to us about.
Yeah, he comes around the corner and being real friendly and like you guys should stay, and tries to put a hand on
On Slick.
Slick.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And he just can't put his hand on it.
Friction decretion can decrease control.
Yeah.
You can decrease friction.
Right.
And he suddenly goes from being
Very, very nice.
very friendly to not so friendly.
To very dour.
But only against Slick.
Yeah.
Only against John's
Slick
character.
can
yeah.
go, but the rest of us should stay and be happy.
Be
But
here
Slick
for
needs
us
to
all
go.
the time.
Yeah, Slick needs to leave town immediately. You're not welcome here.
So Derek, seeing that this is, turning out really well for us yet again,
Yeah, of course.
decides, let's nip this one in the bud. And just takes one of his syringes, goes right into the doctor's neck, and whatever's in there, puts it in him. Got lucky. It wasn't saline.
No, not saline at all. It was some kind of.
It wasn't rubbing
It was
alcohol.
something.
Yeah.
We don't know what, but it was something.
It dropped him.
And the hospital staff did not take kindly to that one at all.
Yeah, he drops.
From the room.
Derek chucks him into the supply closet and closes the door. And then doctors come from one side, the nurse and the doctor or orderly come out of the ward where Steven was.
I think it was all the nurses that were left, all came out from that door.
All the ones that were standing there next to the...
Are now standing in that doorway.
I'm still not seeing a problem here.
You're still
like,
fine.
Like,
Like,
why
it's
are you
always
even
fine.
doing this? This doesn't make any sense to me. They're helping us.
And suddenly, I feel.
You kind of feel the
I
same.
start feeling the same
Yeah.
way. So the two of us are like, you know what? Yeah, that we should be.
This doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't
They
make any
offered,
sense.
they
Yeah,
offered
we're all
us free
friends.
coffee and donuts.
Yeah, and they're helping Copcat.
They're helping Copcat.
You know, everything's fine.
That's more than this paranoid guy was doing. He's popping people's deals.
Yeah. So they start walking towards Derek. So Derek starts walking, open hands, and so Derek starts walking towards them. It's like, great, yeah, let's have this is great.
And you just start sticking people.
And
Now preface this. We're both walking like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just want to give you a big hug, man.
Like Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
That's right. This is the dude. Yeah, come on, man. Come us a
about
hug.
it.
And he's being all aggressive, and I don't like it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
So everything is involved.
it was a doctor. That's who I got. It wasn't the nurse. Yeah,
No, it was that doctor
who came around the corner.
Yes.
That's who it was that I stabbed. And this time, it was something that was a little painful. Because he's screaming in pain.
Yes.
And
That then causes all of the nurses to react the same way.
and start screaming in pain.
As well as Anthony and myself, because we're
and
all,
Rob.
We're all drinking the Kool-Aid.
And Rob.
Top
And
Cat.
Rob, that's right, Rob.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
All in unison, yeah.
Stephen had come out because he checked on Rob. Rob was good. So Copcat was good. So Simon comes out, had joined us in the hall. Simon and Derek decide to book it because they decide that
We need to get out of here.
this
no
isn't
good.
going so well.
Yeah.
We're trying to convince them.
Knock one person out. Suddenly there's a bunch of people. Stab the next one, and everyone's screaming in pain. This is not good. So let's get our kitty friend and get out of here, and just go to the next wonderful little town that we come across that won't be creepy at all.
We weren't having it, though.
No.
We
So-
can't understand this rush to get out of here.
They're screaming. Simon and Derek book it
And we stop.
into the ward. Grab Copcat, who's also screaming. He's curled up in a ball
That's right.
on the bed, screaming. We grab him, we chuck him in a wheelchair, and start pushing him out. He overcomes the pain.
Right. Yeah.
He stopped. Yeah, that's right. He stopped screaming. He breaks whatever trance or anything that he's under that we're
And
in.
you and I,
And
not so
you
lucky.
guys are like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, let's grab you, let's get out of here. And we're like, no, you're not leaving.
Yeah, we're screaming in pain, but it
Well, the
doesn't-
screaming does stop.
Yeah, eventually it stops.
It just stops.
And we're just like, all right, what's still the big deal here?
So we hear a gunshot while we're getting robbed
Right.
into
And
the
that's it.
wheelchair. Go exit back into the hallway, and there's a cop standing over the guy who I'd injected with the horrible, painful
Right.
whatever was in that syringe.
Right.
Who just shot him in the head. So Derek, seeing somebody with a gun now, who's clearly creepy because he just shot
somebody else.
somebody in the head who was clearly suffering. Not a very cop-like thing to do.
No.
Takes another needle, syringe, and just chucks it. Just throws it
Battering.
right at him,
Yeah.
using his pitching skills.
Right.
Your character's got mad skills for throwing things.
Yeah.
Niggas could use you.
Pitcher in college. Or in high school.
You got him right in the
He
cheek.
wasn't smart enough. Yeah. Got him right in the cheek. Knocks him out, or was that painful?
I believe it
Knocked him out.
Knocked him out.
That knocked him out.
Yeah, he just collapsed. He just killed over. Not killed over. He just, down
Dropped.
the ground. Dropped,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's when we react. And then you grab.
Yeah, we both.
You stop Steven's character. I go to stop you. Like, no, you're not leaving.
They both suddenly go into a rage. Both of these two.
Well,
Well, that's
because
that was so. After this whole scene is devolved into chaos, the police show up.
hundreds and hundreds of
to
cops.
sort of respond to the scene.
well, it's a small town. It's like
Small town.
like all four cops.
All
Yeah.
four cops. Think,
Like you said, the end of
the end of Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
With as many cops, you probably get like 30.
And that was like everyone in town.
Right.
And, but yeah.
But so they've shown up to put an end to this unity.
Right.
Immunity. One of the things that they've done is they've separated Michael from her mother.
Right.
They took the baby from court.
From Courtney, yeah.
Meanwhile, you two, under this power, have full control
Full
over
control
your powers.
over our abilities.
We become suddenly very aware of every single power we have.
I know. Yeah.
So I go to slap Ryan out of it, and
not happening.
it doesn't happen. Ryan tries to grab my needle and
disarm
stab me. It doesn't happen. But then Anthony's character,
Looks right at your needle, and then it suddenly starts going back towards you,
Using your magnetic control.
losing my magnetic control. Luckily, and I say luckily only because we're all on the same
Yeah.
team. He was able. I rolled Orion, and was able to have my power stop going
Yes.
towards
Yeah.
your neck. Thankfully.
Yes.
His strength roll overpowered your power rank.
There you go. Yeah.
Still new to it,
Yeah.
You gotta get used to it.
Still trying it out.
But yeah, we've reached like full Civil War levels of
Yeah, this is very
fighting at this point.
Right.
When the crowd came running in, they
Yeah.
jumped on top of Slick.
Yeah,
They
crowd-
body piled him.
And you said there was a loud pop, and suddenly the pile sort of diminished a little bit, and he got out of there.
And as he's grown out, that's when we hear Michael's crying start.
Right.
And this was very angry sort of crying.
Right.
So that-
He's the baby's like a panpipes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So any whatever he's feeling at the time when he starts crying, it affects anyone range. We were okay.
We were
'cause
okay.
We're still sort of under the influence of whatever is controlling the hospital.
Rob was okay.
Rob was okay.
Slick was okay.
Slick was all right, but
Steven.
Well, Slick was bounced out of the
oh
hospital.
Yeah.
he bounced. The two of them, Alex and Steve, were the ones who felt overcome with just blind rage.
Right. They were
Like we
For
need
anyone and anything
Anything
other
that was
than
close.
Michael and Courtney.
and this was prefacing this. He was actually trying to stop the needle from going into your neck by
Yeah,
using the
Steven
tendrils
was trying to help
to
you.
Yeah, that's
loosen the
right,
grip.
that's right.
Now that's all off the table.
he's now trying to crush your arm instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he has a better idea. In this blind rage, he was the one who had wheeled Rob Copcat out of the ward in the first place.
Right.
So you're standing across from me. You're standing next to me.
Right.
Steven's kind of close, but off to the side with wheelchair Copcat.
So he's basically got us in a.
He's
if
got
you-
us
if
in a
that's like
3-pin lineup.
A 3-pin lineup. The 1 pin, the 2
With
pin,
the
and the 3
equivalent
pin.
of a bowling pin in the form of Copcat in a wheelchair.
Right.
And it works swimmingly.
Yeah.
That wheelchair comes flying at us with such incredible force.
That was a great role-playing moment.
It was so, yeah. It's like I saw the thought like grow in Steven's eyes. Like, I'm gonna use the first projectile I have.
Right.
Wheelchair. Chuck.
Wait, and that's right when you both are rolling for initiative and defense and attack, where it was
so close,
so
contested.
friggin' close.
Tied, but he has better dexterity. So
Just barely.
I mean, if you guys at home want to picture it, think of like one huge panel on a comic book page where both are not saying, "Gee, I'm going to stand here and wait for the first guy to attack." It's both like at
like
each other.
the fists have collided.
Yeah,
like they're in.
Like the end of the first Rocky movie.
Right, that first, yeah.
They're in the midst of it's just right smack in the middle of it, and with great effect. All three of us go flying. You guys are gravely injured. My absorption power stopped me from getting hurt.
Right.
But I still go falling down.
Copcat manages to fly off his wheelchair and catch himself on the wall.
With his cat-like reflexes, jumps right out of the chair. It's perfectly fine.
You and I have the overwhelming feeling now. We're no longer concerned about him.
No.
We have to get to the baby. So nothing else matters at this point, which was great because if he had to have focused on Steven or you, that loses control of what he's trying to concentrate with the needle, and it would have probably been stuck in you. God knows what would have been in it.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the baby's cry was more important to me and him.
Priority.
Yeah, it became the priority.
So you stop focusing on trying to stab him, so the needle is
and
fine.
we were just like, let's go
and
find the
we
baby.
go to turn to leave.
Right.
And then Courtney starts singing.
Gets control of her baby again and tries to put her back under, which then affects everyone else, and everyone starts just falling asleep, dropping.
Yeah.
And so, Cupcat and Derek, my character Rob, both just instantly fall asleep.
Rob from off the wall.
Yeah.
Right.
He fell. Like disconnected from the wall, fell down. If he wasn't a cat, he would have broke his hip.
John's character comes running in at full speed, and then suddenly gets hit by a
sliding.
yeah, it's almost like you're like
Affected by the song, falls asleep mid-run,
skids across,
and just keeps going until he slides across the floor, in the middle of all of this scene.
Only person that stays awake is Steven and myself.
Yeah, I said it for a little bit, but the next turn I was down for the count, so it was the two of you hashing it out.
And he's in full rage.
He's in full rage.
He's telling me, John is now saying that I am no longer needing to go find the baby, that I am fully aware of my surroundings, what's going on.
Had a moment of clarity for one round.
A moment of clarity, yeah, you're right. Steven's looking at me very funny. I'm now fully aware that he's thrown a bowling ball wheelchair into us. And I'm thinking I need to get to the bottom floor for whatever the reason that the host is down there.
The moment of clarity you have is that what has triggered this whole thing is that there was a woman who was in a coma when the event happened.
Right.
And that woman in the coma, some sort of sentient symbiote, something has developed in her consciousness.
That they want to make unity all over.
And they want to create peace.
And this is going to be an
everything
epicenter.
It starts with this town, then this state, then this country, then the planet.
Right.
And then once that's done,
they'll have
then
ships.
Get ships and go off and create. It's basically the Borg.
It's what basically the Borg. Yeah.
But all they need to do is touch you.
And all they need to do is touch you.
Contagious mind control.
And they are in a hospital, and with all of the orderlies and doctors and nurses checking up on them, which is why you ran into the janitor before. Janitor would have had nothing to do with actually having anything to do with this patient. Which is why he was fully aware of that everything. He knows something's weird with this. Meanwhile, all the doctors and nurses...
Yeah, because he touched you on your mouth and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And he warned you.
He was unaffected. He had no interaction with anyone.
So now, you two are dropped within a good 5 to 10 foot radius of me.
And your goal is, I need to get down to the bottom. I need to find this woman in this coma and put an end to this.
With the way it was described, you only have a few seconds of this, so you're not going to have time to go press an elevator button.
Yeah.
And go down. So I fully just give in to what's going on. I hollow out the bottom of the floor.
Using your magnetic powers, have the
beams. The beams transport me down, almost like X-Men 2, where Magneto draws out the metal that's in his body and make it a little platform.
Yep.
I'm bringing these two down with me, but Steven
Steven has other plans.
He doesn't really want that to happen, and unbeknownst to me, since I can't see anything, I just feel tentacles wrap around me, or try to anyway. Yeah, he had been rolling fantastic all day up until that point. Thank God.
Yeah.
He's trying. He just can't get it. Can't get.
All he's doing is getting a little grip here,
Yeah,
a little
like,
grip there,
he's
and
kind of
like
slipping, weaseling out of
very
it.
Matrix-like of
Yes.
things, And I'm able to keep going floor by floor till we almost try to get to the bottom. But
Almost we get right there, but
We get
eventually
right there.
Courtney's song becomes too overpowering.
right, yeah.
And it knocks out Steven. And you try. It's like it
That
almost
one
seems like
last
Courtney
breath.
is like Courtney's song, and then the control of the symbiote are like vying for
Batting.
power. It's like who's going to be the one that comes out and wins out this contest, until eventually the song just overpowers.
And he tried again as we're going down. Like, they're both knocked out. I'm trying to keep them braced on the platform. Steven is still trying to send his tendrils 2 floors down to get me. Again, he rolls poorly.
Yeah.
Thank God for that. So he misses me again, but we get a floor away or 2 floors away? I think a floor away.
We got 2 floors.
Yes.
We broke through 2 floors, so we were 1 floor
One
away.
floor away.
1 floor away.
And then that's it. The song was just too much.
Boom, knocks us all out.
Yeah.
The rest of us out, I can say anyway.
So then, we're all together in the dream world.
In the dream world
This
once
is
again.
all new to Derek, all new to you.
That's right.
All new to you too, because you weren't there either, right?
All new to
No,
he was.
I was in a
yeah.
dream
Oh,
world
you
with
were.
him, where
Okay,
his
yes.
roles would affect my outcome, my roles affected his.
Yeah.
So it was
that
new
was
to
really interesting.
Rob and
Yeah.
myself in this dream world.
Right.
So I see Simon, Steven's character, with his tentacles,
That's
and
right,
I'm
you can
just
see his
like,
tentacles now.
What the hell?
Copcat
holy
looks like
crap.
a regular person again.
Yeah,
Copcat looks
that's
like
right.
a
He's
living person.
right.
and there's the white mouse that you guys had seen before, and you saw earlier.
I had seen it earlier. I did, but
When you
I was
first-
under the influence of the symbiote, so I had no.
Right.
I was like, oh, I should care about that, but I don't.
Right, that's right. He ran across the floor.
Ran across the floor, I saw it, I went,
Right.
It gets bigger, right?
But
Yeah,
it
it's
starts
bigger and
growing
bigger,
exponentially in size.
And then yells at us to wake up,
Wake up.
and we do.
Yes, we do.
And that's where we headed.
And then we wake up. Courtney's standing.
Whoa.
Ooh, we missed something.
You forgot something there. He screamed, "Wake up!" Top of his...
Oh, he screams, "Wake up!" And then as we're coming to, we hear the whisper, "Follow the river."
Follow the river. And Courtney's standing up there with the baby in one arm and the bloody
And a
knife
bloody
in the
knife in the other.
saying,
and we
I
know-
protect my baby at all costs.
And
But
we-
she seems very nonchalant. She's like, are we ever going to get to Georgia? Like, this is no big deal to her.
And we feel no conflicting control from anything
Yeah.
else.
I
So
forgot about that. Follow the river.
yeah, follow the river. That was one
That's
of
kind of a
those
keep.
things. Yes, we're gonna need to do that. Come next session.
I
But
guess
yeah,
we're going to
so-
have to follow the river.
And yeah, Courtney was very quick to put an end to the threat to her child.
Yeah. And that's where we left off.
And
That's where we left off on the issue.
So the town town called Unity, not so peaceful
Yeah.
after all.
So overall, your impressions, Ryan.
Still trying to put the pieces together. I'm loving every second of this adventure. I still just want to do more, just to figure out what's going on. But there's so much to keep track of. I'm just taking it piece by piece, little by little, until the picture becomes clear.
I'm loving it. Now that I'm fully aware that I have powers, this is fantastic. I'm no longer going to question anything. I'm just going to go with the flow at this point, I think. So, not bad. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's great. Derek is still not really sure about his powers.
You're a honey badger.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just gotta go for it.
Yep.
Because, fight or flight. Derek's a fighter.
He does not like to
The one thing you
Well,
can
he-
always
he
do
fights to
is
fly.
throw. Don't try and slap anybody. Just throw things at them.
throw things. All right, so yeah, I think everything went great. I love the way you guys, everyone was doing at the game table, because it's even though I don't believe that dungeon mastering is storytelling, I do think that it's a bit of a shared combination, and I think you guys did great. I think you guys did some amazing things. You had some really great RPG moments.
Yes.
Definitely 100%. And I'm glad to see where you guys took the story for me.
It's hard sometimes to logically do what you want to, as opposed to, well, what would my character be doing because
of
we're
course you
in-
want to be the hero. You
Right.
wanna do all the
Everybody
right.
wants to be the hero,
But you and I, it's like, well, our characters are under this,
right,
under this
exactly.
control, so
you
we
really have to
no,
play into your
we
character,
have
not
no
what
choice
you
but
would
to
do.
fight, yeah.
That's a point of great role playing.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right, so next week or 2 weeks, maybe we'll be getting another game in.
What's up?
Hopefully, if we get it, at least just about everyone here, then we can do another Mutants and Masterminds RPG. So I'm your buddy Big John and G. Thank you all for checking us out on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And of course, as always, thank you all for checking us out, for following, subscribing, liking, and commenting on YouTube. I'm your buddy Big John and G. These are the 20-sided warriors and my friends. We are out of here.